No, but how do we sell it? We can make it today, but how do we sell it? The government won't allow us to sell it.
Then you wait for a while until some regulation.
So the seminar is like 6 years ahead of time.
Yes.
I mean, the seminar is to make biodiesel right away, to get on with it. And you are telling us to wait till 2015 when we have done the pilot project and when we have the results and when we feel there is food security. That will never happen. The entrepreneur has to work simultaneously with whatever is going on.
I'd like to respond to that. Your point is very valid. There are a number of efforts that need to be run in parallel. The idea of pilot project is basically to test any things that can be observed in such a situation or such projects. And these are going to be first projects. And as I mentioned in the morning session, there are various risk perceptions associated with such projects. Obviously, for the private sector to come in on such a large scale, you are not going to have an easy time convincing the financial agencies to lend you the money. So, when we talk about doing a pilot project, this is precisely for this reason, to create a perception or to remove this risk perception that this project or this technology has barriers in Pakistan. We want to basically prove to the private sector or to support their activities. So this talk of the pilot project is basically going to be, it's an effort going to be in parallel with what the private sector is doing. And I guess the need of the day at this time is basically to get to a buyback arrangement as soon as possible and to come up with a pricing mechanism. And with your inputs, we are hoping that we are going to achieve it as soon as possible. We are working on it already, and hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be able to come up with something concrete.
Assalamualaikum. 2015, around 1200 billion ton seed for the biofuel. Biodiesel.
We can't see you. Can you please stand up?
My name is Amin Patel. I am from Pakistan Biofuel. It is my expectation for the 2015, if you need 5% oil, biodiesel oil. So you need around 1200 billion ton seed for the crop. Can we achieve in 6 years? Have you any roadmap or something?
Today's event is in connection with all this roadmap that we are about to formulate. And we wanted to ensure that your participation is involved at every step along the way. The other thing is, one thing we tend to ignore is that probably the biodiesel that we are going to produce is only going to be from these edible oil or non-edible oil-based feed seeds. This is just one aspect of it. In order to have such a program successful commercially, we need to diversify our options. And one such option is biomass to liquids. We need to encourage that as well, because that is one option where we can very quickly, achieve this target if all these main issues that we're talking about today, mainly being the pricing mechanism and the buyback mechanism, the two most important things, they are taken care of. So I'm very hopeful that if this thing is taken care of in as soon as possible time, then please do not just concentrate on one aspect of it. Biomass to liquids is now a proven technology around the world, and even among you, some people are sitting who are coming up with this idea, or they have these aspirations of setting up biomass to liquids projects here in Pakistan. So let's hope for this.
Dear the report. When you're talking about biomass, once we will reach that stage that we should adopt it, there will be something new again. Biodiesel is worldwide recognized. There is no question in getting into further research, as we have the data all over the world. We are stuck with the local policies. We cannot import it. To boost your studies, to boost your research, I would suggest you should allow all the enterprise to import it legally for at least initial few years, so that PSO can be ahead, making examples for other. And if somebody comes up with biomass and other industries, this would be the road which is leading us to everywhere. And secondly, if we are just studying and studying and studying and we are not implementing anything which actually been inherited always with the Pakistan, then we are nowhere. Today the barrier has been identified. The barriers are there. We We do accept that. But what we are doing to overcome that? I just had a talk with the custom people. That why aren't you allowing it? Why aren't you allowing it to import it? They say we need the time to research. So why is always people talking about research? Why don't you have the facilities? You are putting a proposal for a pilot plan. Why don't you go and study with the PSO people? They have done a lot till today. There are so many private industries and private people who are already involved. More than Dr. Osmani conveyed you and told you the presentation, there's so many plantations already into Sindh and in Punjab. There's so much data collected, then where we to stand today? Why aren't we taking any decisions? Why aren't we making the ways open for everybody? Thank you.
Can you describe as to how much the size of the plant is commercially viable if we talk about biodiesel?
Well, see, if we are talking about viability, we are talking about the industry, and there's no limit.
There's no limit to that.
There's no limit to that.
Minimum.
Minimum?
There is no minimum. Everybody is going to have an economy of scale and they'll have a different profitability.
See, the barriers are this basically.
See, the thing is, this is the point that I wanted to make. When we talk about a pilot project, we obviously need to get it funded. So in order to get funding for it, we have to have...
But the private sector is not asking for funding.
We are not talking about the private sector. You people just keep on going back to the pilot project.
You
I
talking
just wanted to clear that thing up. So please, as I mentioned earlier, this pilot project that the government talks about, that is just an activity in parallel. We are not trying to discourage the private sector. The private sector can come up with a viable project. Why not? Please go ahead.
We have always involved Asian Development Bank for the financing and all these things. Once we get them satisfied that we're doing the right thing. So why don't you involve such agencies and some financial institutions into this project?
At this moment, we're doing just that.
Sir, in terms of today for the model and for the private sector to follow on with that model,